Welcome back, everybody, to this week's Ask the Producer. So today we have a question on how to use automation to make sure that your recordings, to make sure that your tracks sound professional. So let's jump into the studio and let's see what we can do. So I've already prepared a track here. Let's see what it sounds like as is. So now we have a sort of A-B section. So we have this first as a verse, and then the next one is a chorus. Now with automation, something as simple as this, we can make it into a more enveloping kind of like moving feeling. So what I want to do is I want to open up the automation lane, which is this button right next to the volume knob. Here you can find your automations. You can change pan, sweep, and volume. For this one, we're going to go into sweeps, and sweeps have a filter on it, so it changes the characteristics of the frequencies of the sound over time. Now that's what automation does. It changes a lot of the parameters that you use normally over time. So if you want to fade something out, for example, make the volume kind of go up and down, make things go left to right, you can do all of that with automation. So here we have muffled on right now, and if we just listen to this track and see it going from minimum to maximum, very subtle. Now you can hear all of that high end kind of come back in. I think what we're going to do is we're going to go for hollow, and we're going to invert this change. So this is what it sounds like then. And then you hear all that bass come in. So what we can do here, and what usually is done in a lot of transitional elements, so I want it to still sound as it's coming in. So I want it to still make noise, but I want it to be very low key. I can even pull this up a little bit more. So you can hear it still, but it's very, very thin. And then you want there to be a bigger change right before the drop. So I'm doing a very slight kind of decline of that hollow sweep. And then right before it comes in to the full production, it kind of sweeps fast down. Then you can do that with a lot of different other things. So what I want to do, that is probably, let's say the bass. Let's do that as well. So let's go into sweep. Let's go into hollow. And then let's move the bass and do a similar thing. So here we can have the bass actually be completely open in the beginning. And then we can have it move just a little bit right before the drop comes in. So we lose a lot of that bass information right before the drop. So here we can hear it. And then comes back in. You can do that with so many different elements. You can do that with everything. Even this one. This one's already pretty thin as is, so let's move on with these ones. So now we have two automation lanes set up. What you can do here, let's say if I wanted to add the same thing at the end of the chorus, I can just click here, click and drag over, copy these, and pro tip, if you want this to be exactly timed as you had in this bar, make sure that there is one automation keyframe, or those little red blobs that you see here, on a specific bar. So here I can see, okay, this is 2 before the end of the cycle. I can then copy all of these, move these to the second last bar, and then paste, and then you'll get it placed exactly where you had it last time. So if you've done some really, really fine detail kind of tuning, and you want it to end up exactly on the same place, then make sure that you have one right on the exact bar where you want it. So now we have a production that kind of evolves a little bit as it plays through. We can actually move this down so we actually still get a little bit of that bass. So now we have a little bit of a movement there. Another thing that you can do with transitions in Soundtrap as well is that you make use of the transitional elements. One specifically good pack that has that is EF/EX. So here you have a bunch of different subdrops, swooshes, transitional elements. So here we have a short riser, we have a percussion shaker, we have a short stompy riser, we have a noisy one. So we can just drag that in. We want to make sure that we time this perfectly. So you can see that the peak is around here. So I'm going to drag it to there, make sure it doesn't loop because I don't want it to do that. And then I can fade it in. And you can do that even with the automation. So let's do that actually. So here, if you want more control in the automation lane, change to volume. And here you can set it to have the around the same volume that you have here, and then move this down. So now so you see, you get that full swoosh at the end there. So what I want to do is want to pull that down, and then as it comes in, I can then pull it down and it kind of like slowly fades out there. So now we have Now, also one thing to note is when you're using automation lanes, there are still control in the knobs that you usually would control this with. So with volume, for example, if I now click and drag this, you'll see the entirety of your automation lane will move. It goes up and then it comes back down. So be sure to be very mindful about that when you're changing things over time. And also if you have something going on, you'll see the automation lane actually be on the track as you minimize the automation track, it'll still show on there. So as soon as you see one of those lines, make sure that if you're changing the volume or something else, be mindful of where you've placed it. But with all of that said, I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope this was helpful for you, everybody wondering about automation out there. If you have any more questions, leave them in the comments down below and we'll answer them in this type of video. With all of that said, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.